Prepare yourselves for what's setting up to be a wild week for the markets. Not one, but 4 Mag 7 names are scheduled to report over the course of the week. And we'll also get reports from semiconductor heavyweights, consumer brands. If that wasn't enough, there's also a ton of economic updates on watch, including the July FOMC meeting and rate announcement and the July non-farm payrolls. Let's take a peek at the week ahead. Quite a few earnings on the docket before the bell on Monday, including Tilray and ON Semiconductor. Tilray's report could inspire a move in the cannabis stocks, while ON Semi has the potential to move the chips. Analysts are looking for $225.65 million in revenue from Tilray and $1.73 billion in revenue from ON. Fast food favorite McDonald's is also reporting on Monday morning. A few pieces of economic data coming through on Monday, including the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index for July at 11 a.m. At 11:30 a.m., we'll get the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions, followed by the Treasury refunding financing estimates at 3 p.m. Keep an eye on NVIDIA and Meta during Monday's session. Jensen Huang and Mark Zuckerberg, the company's respective CEOs, are set to partake in a fireside chat with one another at the SIGGRAPH conference on Monday. Jensen Huang is also scheduled for a fireside chat with Lauren Good, the senior editor of Wired, about the role that AI and graphics will play in the new computing era. Tuesday kicks off with even more earnings reports, including PayPal. The stock has been downgraded by William Blair and upgraded by Susquehanna in the weeks leading up to its Q2 report, where analysts are looking for $7.7 billion in revenue. Fellow financial services stock SoFi is also reporting and is expected to post quarterly revenue of $563.14 million. Other companies set to report on Tuesday morning include Pfizer, Procter & Gamble, JetBlue, Phillips 66, and Corning. Given that Corning raised its Q2 revenue and EPS forecast in early July, GLW could be a stock to watch in the aftermath of the report. Lots of housing and labor data on watch throughout the day, starting with the month-over-month and year-over-year changes in the S&P Case-Shiller home prices for May at 9 a.m. We'll also get the house price index for May, which previously came in at 424.3, and the month-over-month and year-over-year changes for the index. The biggest economic print of the day comes at 10 a.m. with the JOLTS job openings for June. This metric came in at 8.14 million for May, beating estimates and recovering from a 3-year low of 7.919 million in April. Analysts are expecting to see the metric rise even further to reach 8.35 million openings in June. Also in the docket at 10 a.m. are JOLTS job quits for June and the CB consumer confidence number for July. At 10:30 a.m., we'll get the Dallas Fed Services Index and Services Revenue Index for July. Keep an eye on Longeveron throughout the day as well. This one recently ran with some of the meme names, and it's set to appear at the 2024 Alzheimer's Association International Conference on Tuesday. We've got a couple major reports coming through after the bell, including Microsoft. The tech giant is coming off of a strong fiscal Q3 report, with revenue rising by 17% on a year-over-year basis to reach $61.86 billion. Segment revenue growth was equally impressive. Azure and cloud revenue grew by 31% year-over-year, and the intelligent cloud segment grew by 21%. However, the company's fiscal Q4 revenue guidance of $64 billion missed analyst estimates of $64.5 billion. Let's see if the company can beat the current consensus estimate of $64.16 billion for the quarter. Another big tech name on watch after the close is Advanced Micro Devices, which posted slight beats for both EPS and revenue in fiscal Q1 2024. Despite forecasting $4 billion in AI chip sales for fiscal 2024, the company disappointed with an inline revenue forecast for Q2. Analysts are looking for $5.71 billion in revenue for the quarter. Also reporting after the bell are companies like Starbucks, Arista Networks, Pinterest, First Solar, Caesars, Electronic Arts, The Match Group, and Live Nation. Starbucks has been on watch amid rumors of activist interest, with the Wall Street Journal reporting that Elliott has taken an undisclosed stake in the company, while Live Nation has dealt with data breaches and a DOJ lawsuit since his last report. Analysts are looking for $9.33 billion in revenue from Starbucks and $6.06 billion in revenue from Live Nation. Wednesday kicks off with a report that is sure to be interesting. Boeing. The embattled aerospace company recently agreed to plead guilty to fraud related to a pair of fatal 737 MAX crashes, and its commercial jet deliveries dropped 27% year over year for the month of June. Let's see how their revenue compares to the analyst estimate of $17.93 billion for the quarter. Boeing isn't the only company reporting before the bell. Watch out for reports from Kraft Heinz, Altria, Cameco, Humana, Wingstop, Norwegian Cruise Lines, and recent S&P 500 addition, KKR. Tons of economic updates throughout Wednesday's session, starting with the July ADP employment change at 8:15. At 8:30, we'll get the quarterly changes for employment cost benefits, employment cost wages, and the employment cost index for Q2 2024, as well as the Treasury refunding announcement. Then we'll get the July print for Chicago PMI at 9:45, followed by the monthly and yearly changes in pending home sales for June at 10 a.m. and the EIA stock changes at 10:30 a.m. Huge catalyst to watch out for at 2 p.m., the Fed interest rate decision from the July FOMC meeting. The market isn't pricing in a rate cut for this meeting, so market participants continue to bank on a potential cut in September. So this meeting could be crucial. Half an hour after the decision is announced, at 2:30, traders will digest a press conference from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Stay tuned throughout the afternoon to see if Powell's comments or responses move the market. The day isn't over quite yet, though, because Meta Platforms reports after the bell. The Mag 7 name beat EPS and revenue expectations with its Q1 earnings, posting a 27% year-over-year increase in revenue, but sold off after guiding Q2 revenue below estimates. Also concerning was CEO Mark Zuckerberg's emphasis on the company's AI and mixed reality efforts during its earnings call. We'll have to see if Meta can meet or exceed analyst estimates of $37.72 billion when it drops its report. A slew of semiconductors are also set to report earnings on Wednesday. Keep an eye on reports from ARM Holdings, Qualcomm, Western Digital, and Lam Research. Albemarle, Etsy, Riot Blockchain, eBay, and occasional meme runner Carvana are also scheduled to release earnings. Carvana has received positive analyst notes from Needham and BTIG Research heading into its report, so this one could be worth keeping an eye on. Even more earnings before the bell on Thursday. We'll digest reports from names like Crocs, Moderna, ConocoPhillips, Wayfair, Hershey, and SiriusXM. Crocs, Moderna, and Wayfair all have short floats of more than 5%, so there could be some exciting moves to watch out for. Quite a few pieces of economic data to digest throughout the day, starting with the preliminary quarterly changes in non-farm productivity and unit labor cost for Q2 2024. We'll also get initial jobless claims for the week ending July 27th. At 9:45, we're expecting the final S&P Global Manufacturing PMI print for July. Tons of prints to watch out for at 10 a.m., including the ISM Manufacturing PMI for July. We'll also get ISM Manufacturing new orders, employment, and prices for July, as well as the month-over-month change in construction spending for June. A few more numbers to be aware of as we head into the midday period, including the EIA natural gas stock change at 10:30 a.m. and the 4-week and 8-week bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. Then we'll get the 15-year and 30-year mortgage rates at 12 p.m., as well as the Fed balance sheet at 4:30 p.m. So many massive earnings reports to get into after the bell on Thursday, but two of the biggest ones to watch will be Mag 7 names, Apple and Amazon.com. Apple's last report was pretty impressive. The company beat EPS and revenue estimates and announced a record-setting $110 billion share buyback program, despite a 10% year-over-year drop in iPhone sales. Their WWDC event in June was well received by investors, with the stock climbing to new all-time highs after the announcement of Apple Intelligence. Let's see if Apple can back up this goodwill with a strong earnings report. Analysts are looking for $83.16 billion in revenue for fiscal Q3. Amazon's last earnings report was also pretty impressive, beating expectations for earnings per share and revenue. Amazon Web Services and advertising revenue also beat expectations, with ad revenue growing by 24% on a year-over-year basis. The company is coming off of its 10th annual Prime Day event on July 16th and 17th, which they claim broke records in terms of total sales and number of items sold. Amazon.com is expected to post $148.47 billion in Q2 revenue. Another earnings name worth keeping an eye on here is Intel, which has made quite the recovery since its last report. The stock recently gapped up amid a sector-wide sell-off led by Taiwan Semiconductor, attributed to its investment in U.S. chip manufacturing and funding from the CHIPS and Sciences Act. Intel posted higher than expected earnings per share, but missed revenue estimates for Q1, and they're expected to post $13 billion in revenue for Q2. A ton of other names reporting after the bell. We'll get earnings from notable crypto stocks Marathon Digital and Coinbase, as well as companies like CloudNet, DraftKings, Block, Snap, Booking Holdings, and Roku. Massive economic data print to get things started on Friday. We'll get non-farm payrolls for July at 8:30 a.m. This metric showed an addition of 206,000 jobs to the U.S. economy for the month of June, though the April and May readings are both downwardly revised to reflect a combined drop of 111,000 jobs compared to the initial prints. NFPs are expected to drop on a month-over-month basis to reflect the addition of 190,000 jobs for July. Also on watch is the unemployment rate for July, which is expected to come in flat at 4.1%. Lots of other employment data to look forward to at 8:30 a.m., including the month-over-month change in average hourly earnings, average weekly earnings, the participation rate, and government and manufacturing payrolls for the month of July, as well as the U6 unemployment rate. Earnings from energy names like ExxonMobil and Chevron are also due before the bell. A few more pieces of economic data to close out the week. At 10 a.m., we'll get the month-over-month change in factory orders for June and the factory orders ex-transportation for June, followed by the Baker Hughes rate counts at 1 p.m. And that's the week ahead. Thanks for sticking with us. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe and tune in with us every Monday to Friday at 8:30 a.m. with TraderTV.Live.